We are less than 2 weeks away from the 2025 NBA draft, and the big domino to fall this offseason is a Kevin Durant trade. Now, that sweepstakes is heating up, but it feels like we're starting to run in circles a little bit as Phoenix is not interested into any of the offers that these teams that you see on screen have made so far. So, with that being the first domino that needs to fall this offseason, if you're ready for the KD trade saga to end, because it feels like we've just been running around for no reason at this point, this trade just needs to happen, like today's video, so we can get started with the rest of the moves that need to happen this offseason. All right, let's talk about the latest Kevin Durant trade destination odds before we get into all the most recent reports from NBA insiders. So, the Miami Heat have jumped all the way up to the number 1 spot. They are the current favorite to trade for Durant at this point at plus 200. The Houston Rockets follow them at plus 250, and the San Antonio Spurs are there in third at plus 300. Now, that's the team that we've all been kind of thinking that KD is going to be dealt to, but how much interest do the Spurs actually have? We'll talk about that in a little bit. Minnesota Timberwolves close behind at plus 350 in the 4th spot, and then a big jump to 5 with Toronto, who has new reported interest and is kind of a dark horse wild card team to trade for KD. There's been no reports of KD willing to sign an extension, though, with the Raptors. We'll see if that changes. They're at plus 200, a massive jump there. Let's get to this from Brian Windhorst, though, as he's talking about the 3 favorites. He said, from what I understand, the 3 teams on Kevin Durant's list, Miami, San Antonio, and Houston, have not made offers that have gotten Phoenix excited to this point. So this point is very important, though. Minnesota, from what I understand, has been the most aggressive team in trade talks. Now, we'll talk about Minnesota in a little bit, but let's just start here. The Kevin Durant trade market is shrinking, and it was never actually that big because, look, the Phoenix isn't going to deal Durant just to the team he wants to go to just because he wants to go there and is going to sign an extension. They're going to make the best move for their franchise. However, that's going to scare off a lot of teams. If KD, especially at this age and point in his career, is not going to commit to you long term, and you're going to give up valuable assets to get him because he is Kevin Durant, you're just not going to make that move long term for your franchise. And one of those teams is the New York Knicks, who originally were reported as interested per Shams Charania, but then Stefan Bondi and a couple of New York insiders were saying, nope, that's not true. Knicks are not interested in. Now confirmed from ESPN, Mark J. Spears, saying that KD wanted the New York Knicks. He wanted to go there. The Knicks have no interest in bringing him in, which I guess doesn't necessarily correlate to what I just said, but at the same time, the market is shrinking for Durant. Knicks are out, and it doesn't seem like too many teams are in, but I don't really see why, to be honest, especially in the Knicks case. I really think that they can make a finals run if they add Durant, especially when you consider what he's doing at age 38, 38. It's unreal. I know he's playing for a bad Phoenix team. It's losing basketball. There isn't a lot of defense being played up there. I do think that Kevin Durant's still a pretty capable defender, but offensively, he's still disgusting. One of the most efficient players in the entire league, 43% from 3. This guy doesn't seem like he's slowing down anytime soon. And we're talking about a guy who had Achilles surgery a couple of years ago. He's been back and still playing at an MVP-like level. Now let's talk about Minnesota, though, in this scenario. Because you remember, Minnesota has been the most aggressive in trade talks. However, Shams says he's told Durant has no desire to be in Minnesota with the Timberwolves. And honestly, and this is a funny note too, they do have state income tax in Minnesota, so that is an interesting reason as to why he might not want to go there. Just reading between the lines a little bit. But as far as from a basketball standpoint, I think it would be an awesome fit for KD. I'm just not so sure that he wants to live in Minnesota, to be quite honest. I think he is I want to be comfortable where I'm living guy, and 9-10 months out of the year, you're not too comfortable in the Midwest North, I guess I could call it. Minnesota's brutal up there. Ask Jack Sperry. KD, though, he said he will sign an extension with the Miami Heat, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Houston Rockets. So that really just kind of boils down to these 3 teams as to where Durant is going to end up this offseason. Now, if I had to predict, I don't have a prediction right now because Phoenix isn't interested in any of the packages. I just saw a new report from another guy saying that the Suns are not interested in the Heat's package that they're currently offering, and I don't think that includes Kel'el Ware. We'll talk exactly why and what these 3 teams, I guess I should say, are holding back from their offers right now. That makes it the reason that this hasn't gotten done yet. And Phoenix knows that the time is ticking. They are in a corner here a little bit. I think those 3 teams know that. Remember the report from The Athletic a couple weeks ago that said that Phoenix has gradually lowered its asking price? I wonder what it was then, because if they're not interested now, then, man, they might have to lower it a little bit more because the draft is 10 days away. And Phoenix is going to want one of these three teams' picks in the 2025 draft. They want guys who they can get in the building now because they don't have their pick next year. They don't want to tank. They want to get win-now talent, and they also want to get a guy that can contribute right away next season. So they got to make a deal fast, and unfortunately for them, I think a lot of these teams know that. That's why the price is going to be as much as we think. And Tim Bontemps kind of said that and correlated it with the Desmond Bane trade that was made over the weekend that netted 4 unprotected first-round picks. He said, in speaking with several sources on Sunday in the wake of the Bane deal, the universal belief that is any draft package going to Phoenix in a Durant deal, it likely won't surpass the haul of draft picks coming to Memphis for Bane, who hasn't yet made an all-star team. Well, I don't think this is exactly groundbreaking info. I don't think this is just like, whoa, this is crazy. Durant's not getting traded for as many picks as Bane. I don't think he ever was, to be quite honest. He's 37 in a contract year. Bane's under contract for 3 more years, and he's 26. And so it makes complete sense that Durant's not going to go for that draft haul. But is he going to go for any draft haul at all? It seems like some teams are kind of holding back these picks. What I will say is that a Durant trade will probably have to involve multiple teams, and not just meaning 2. Like it might have to be a 3, potentially 4-team deal to get everything worked out. Phoenix being a second apron team around the league, like nobody's got much money, so it's going to be difficult to get a deal done. But the reason I kind of bring this up is because we've also heard reports from Phoenix's camp as to people that they're interested in around the league. Now, one of them obviously could get done in the 1-for-1 with Andrew Wiggins. He'll be a part of any Miami Heat package for Durant. But then this report came out that they're doing their homework on Kristaps Porzingis. Now, the Celtics have been noted to need to get off some money, and Porzingis having a $30 million contract, that could be a nice avenue for them to shed some salary. They would be a third team, though. Durant's not going to Boston. I don't think the Celtics are interested. I don't think Durant's interested. So that would be a 3-team deal. I don't see how Boston and Phoenix would get a 1-and-1 transaction done with Porzingis going back and forth. Neither team can aggregate contracts. So with that being said, what do you guys think? Where does Kevin Durant play in 2025-26? At this point, given all the reports that we've heard so far up to this point, June 16th, let me know. Where does KD play in 2025-26? All right, I'm going to lay it out for you guys right now to wrap up today's show. Why has there been no trade yet? So the San Antonio Spurs. Look, I'm not so sure how much interest they have. I've been talking to a couple people here in the office, been reading some stuff on the interwebs, and they seem like they would be pretty content with going with this young core where they're going to have the number 2 pick, Stephon Castle. And yeah, they wouldn't have to give those 2 away, but you keep a guy like Devin Vassell or the number 14 pick. Like, I think one of those things could be going away in the trade right now, but I don't see both. The issue with Vassell is I think he has to be included in any Durant package to make salaries work. So I think it's getting very, very murky there in San Antonio. It's looking less and less likely that he ends up there. They kind of just want to run the young core with Wemby and De'Aaron Fox and see how that rolls. I think it can compete in the West without even trading for Durant. The Rockets' hand, they don't want to trade both of Jalen Green and Jabari Smith. They are looking to find a new home for Jalen Green, reportedly, but I don't think they want to get rid of both young talents. I could see them doing a package centered around Jalen Green and a Dylan Brooks kind of thing, but I think they're a little bit hesitant to trade Brooks as well. The hiccup here is Jabari Smith for the Houston Rockets. That's why they have not made a Durant trade. And then the Heat, on the other hand, they have not yet included Kel'el Ware. If the Kel'el Ware was in the Heat's offer to Phoenix, I believe that the trade would already be done at this point. So we'll see if they end up budging. I know Heat Report host Nick Roloff believes that they should 100% give up Kel'el Ware to make this deal happen. So we'll see if that ends up materializing. But for now, there are some hiccups in these 3 favorites to try to trade for Kevin Durant. So whoever budges is going to get Kevin Durant. Like that's just plain and simple. Are you going to give away Devin Vassell? Are you going to give away Jabari Smith? Are you going to give away Kel'el Ware there if you are those 3 competing teams? Whoever decides to cave in to Phoenix here over these next couple of days, that's who's going to get Durant. And we're going to bring you guys that news when it goes down. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That will do it for today's edition of NBA Now. I'm looking forward to seeing where Durant ends up. I think it's going to be a lot of fun next NBA season. We're going to see a lot of transactions that happen after this domino fall. So lock us in, hit that sub button. We'll see you guys all in the next one. Stay cool.